video is going to talk about some controls around creating change orders, and I know we've discussed some situations that we want to avoid, creating unnecessary change orders. For example, maybe in the to-do list for Bev and Roseanne, there are multiple 2 or 3 different change orders in progress of approval for the same property, and we're thinking, why can't we just combine those all into one? That's an excellent idea. We've talked about we've got maybe multiple change orders going at once, and can we delete an empty one if we're not using it? We've also talked about resequencing the change orders to always pick the next change order number in sequence when we send them over to the client. These are all great ideas, and I have not done the resequencing yet, but what I did do a couple nights ago, and I wrapped it up this morning, is spend some time on trying to put some controls around so we don't get in these weird situations in the first place. It is better to kind of catch these streams, these things upstream, so to speak, rather than mopping up the situation downstream. For example, if we have multiple change orders to the same property in the to-do list, instead of writing code to identify that and ask Roseanne or whoever, do you want to combine them, and then having to go back and undo old change orders and combine them in. I mean, the system do all that. It's a lot of complicated programming. What I'm going to show you now are a few things I've put in which should help prevent us from getting in those situations in the first place. And hopefully you guys think these are good ideas, and then we can revisit. So exactly what sort of downstream mopping up stuff do we even really need to do? So that's the objective here. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new change order. And notice it makes sense to create a new change order because there wasn't one in progress. You had 3 that are already approved. First thing we're going to do is try to request approval of this before we even add something to it. You cannot request because it has no line items. Good enough. Would you even like to delete it? Yes. Oops, we didn't mean to do that. So there you are, you're back. Okay, so we're back. We tried to request approval on that one, and it told us we didn't have any line items, and then it offered, do you want to even get rid of it? And I said yes, and I noticed the form didn't shrink back down, so I went in and made that change, and the form now collapses back down after the one was deleted. Anyway, so let's create another new change order, and this time I will go add a couple lines to it and be right back. Okay, so now I have added one line item to it for $100. We're going to go ahead and view that, make sure that everything looks good. And I know this thing's still small. I'm going to try to get it to where it opens up in a more friendly mode. But I did want to point out that I have put in there the trade partner price and the markup for this internal version only. Again, the one that gets sent to the client for approval will not show that. So I viewed it, and I'm happy with it, so I'm going to request approval, and it's now in the to-do list to be processed, and it's going to sit there until it gets processed. I did put this note down here, approval requested by me. So now what we're going to try to do is create another change order, and the system is going to say, hey, there's one that's in the process of being approved that we can still claw back. Would you like to just go ahead and add to that and dialogue with the user a little bit? So the idea being, try not to, this is the upstream fix. Instead of getting multiple change orders in progress of being approved, we'll try to just keep bringing them back to the same one if they want to. Jim Saunders has requested approval of change order 4. I had hit new CO, by the way, that got us here. I didn't necessarily say that. It's trying to create change order 5, and it says, Jim Saunders has requested CO 4 approval of it. This CO is still available to be reopened for this job. What that means is Bev or Roseanne haven't sent it over to them and put it in pending state yet. add line items to that CO instead of creating a new one? And I'm going to say yes. So it essentially just claws that back. It does the same thing as if we had said reopen. So now you can go in and add to it just like we expect, view it, and then resubmit it for approval. So I did that. I just added more to it and resubmitted it. So let's try to create another new CO. Same dialogue, and this time let's say, now we don't want to add items to that one, we want a new one. So you can go ahead and do it. And at least now the person is knowingly going down the path of creating multiple change orders. And maybe they want a separate one. Maybe I'm not Jim, maybe I'm Drew, and I don't want to glom onto Jim's change order. I want my own. So there's one thing that should help us help the end user from creating a lot of unnecessary change orders. Okay, now we're going to see this situation where there's currently an approval request in progress, and we have created a new change order, and we're going to try to request its approval. And the system is going to talk to us a little bit about possibly combining change order 5 with change order 4, and it'll give us all the options to either do the combine or to make it separate if there's good reason for that, and it'll record, of course, who requested it. So Drew, if you come in, or Randy, and you see that there are multiple ones being requested, you'll at least be able to see who did what. So you're requesting approval of CO5. Jim Saunders has already requested approval of 4, and it is still in the process of being approved, so it's pending. Would you like to combine 5 with 4? Click yes to combine, no to create another CO, a separate one, separate approval, or cancel to bail out. Like maybe say, I don't know what to do here, so at least you could just cancel and get the heck out of it. So we're going to go ahead and hit yes, and what you should see is 5 should just completely go away, and 4 should be sitting there. And you might have noticed the dollar amount went up a little bit. I should have called your attention to that, but it did go up. So I just created another change order again. Remember the last one we combined in with 4 just to show some of the other options, just really for completeness. Again, trying to do 5, telling us that 4 is still available to be combined with. Click no to create another, so let's hit cancel just to show you can bail. And then no should go ahead and create another. So it'll really beating the drum here. You will be creating another CO to be approved, even though there is another CO in process of being approved. Are you sure you want to proceed? And say they get cold feet. Now let's actually finally do it. Yes, do it. Okay, so now you can see here's the situation that we really want to avoid. The same person has 2 different COs. Now maybe there could be a legit situation. I would think perhaps it would be legit to have 2 in process from different people. But maybe the best case is going to be that whenever there's one that is in process of being approved, it'll continue to be added to. And then only the most recent guy that asked for it to be approved will have his name on it. So give me some feedback on that, and we can definitely do the picking the next one in sequence if needed when we send them over to the client. But maybe we've avoided the need for that, and maybe we've also avoided the need for going into the back end and combining requests after the fact. We can discuss that.